Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I found a really insane video of a crazy, maybe creepy landlord asking his tenant whether he could take a bath, not once, but 3 times in her bathroom. It's really strange. It's not the sort of thing that you find in everyday sort of situations, but I thought we'd just take a bit of a look and sort of break the video down. Now, if you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe, hit the bell for further notifications, and let's just get into it.
It was just my landlord asked me 3 times if he could take a bath in my bath. Story time on how I had the worst landlord in the entire world. So I'm going to try and do this as fast as possible. I used to live in France and I moved over to the UK. Well, I moved back to the UK, but I was living with my friend because it was just very convenient. I'd rather be in the UK whilst looking for a flat. Found a beautiful apartment. It was outside of my budget, but okay, let's just go view it. It was absolutely stunning. Get to the apartment and meet the landlord. He seems really, really nice. And he says, look, this one is a little bit out of your budget, but I do have
the dodgy
one
part.
that's a 1-bed. So the one I went to view initially was a 2-bed.
A nice flat, but then a creepy landlord.
However, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I viewed this in December and I was like, okay, fine. When do you think it'll be ready by? And he was like, by March. Okay, perfect. So I put the deposit down and I'm in communications with the landlord. He needs to redo the floor, he needs to paint the walls, blah, blah, blah. It is a 1-bedroom apartment, so I know it's not going to take that long. I viewed it in December, it should be ready by March. So it gets to January and I'm like, okay, do you have a specific date in March? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all of my stuff moved over from France in a big lorry and pay extra to have it all like unpacked by the people who are bringing it over. He's like, yes, March 15th is when you can move in, when everything will be ready. It gets a little bit closer to the time, it's like February now. Can I have an update on the apartment? And he's telling me, look, we're running a little bit behind, but we'll definitely get it done by March 15th. Say, why don't we do March 19th? Just a few more days should be fine. He's like, no, honestly, March 15th is going to be fine. So I move in on March 15th and I get there.
So red flag already.
Construction site. It is a pure construction site. There's no floor. I have to literally put all of my belongings into his apartment, which is directly above mine. Red flag number 1. I normally work from home, but I'm having to work from a cafe. I can come home at 6 o'clock every night because that's when all of the construction people leave. I can sleep on a blow-up mattress because there's no bed. The floor is like completely covered and it's just dust everywhere. It's like day 4 or 5 of this situation. What the fuck is going on? What have I got myself into? Why is the apartment not ready? Bearing in mind, I've paid my deposit and my first month's rent. Go to work at
Alarm
the coffee
bells
shop
are ringing.
and the landlord calls me. I can't remember what he called me for. I think he wanted to know where something was. I'm a little bit like just overwhelmed on the phone. He's like, what's wrong? And I was like, well, I'm just a bit overwhelmed because I thought the apartment was going to be ready, and he just flew off the handle. He was like, you're just ungrateful, you're an ungrateful little girl, you don't live in Ukraine. He literally said that, I quote, I've done everything for you, I'm making this apartment amazing for you. And I was like, I don't know who the fuck you think you're speaking to, but you're a landlord and I've paid to move in here and you've told me it was going to be ready. He's flying off the handle and I put the phone down and I'm like, what has just happened? Because I have never been spoken to by a professional in that way before. He was being like really derogatory and just literally awful, and I wish I had recorded that phone call, but obviously I was never going to expect him to speak to me that way. I go back home and the carpenter is there and he's such a nice man, and he was like, look, we all heard how he spoke to you, and if you need someone to vouch for you, if you want to take it further, I will vouch for you. Just like still in shock. And finally the apartment is pretty much like livable now, but workers do need to keep coming in and out over the next few weeks to make sure like little bits and bobs are done, which is fine, but at least like I have a floor. Next day they're doing a little bit of work in the day, but I'm at the house and I'm on the phone and he comes into my bedroom, the landlord does, was, and he starts speaking to me, and I'm like, I'm on the phone, and like, why are you here? At this point, I'm
That's
pissed because
creepy.
I'm like, why have you just walked into my bedroom saying to the person who I'm on the phone with, like, the apartment's not even ready, like, I'm really pissed off, so he can hear me, he can see me, and he starts going off again, saying how I'm ungrateful, blah, blah, blah. But at this point, I'm just like, whatever, I don't care, like, you're an arsehole. Carpenter takes him out of the room and is like, you cannot speak to a person like that, but especially a woman like that, in her own home that she's paying for. And he says to the carpenter, oh, what, do you know women like that, do you? I'm actually at this point not even surprised, because he's just an arsehole. Comes around the next day with flowers, which was highly inappropriate. He could have just apologised via email, so I had it in writing, and whatever.
Getting creepier.
Said, look, we're neighbours, and want to have any reason have to look for a new tenant. So from the very get-go, very threatening with the way he would speak, and he would say he had 4 apartments in the whole build, like, it's not a building, but like he had 4 apartments including his own, and he was like, work I've done on this apartment, it actually does require a higher rent, so basically doing you a favour. So he's just like one of those typical landlords. The way that the apartments went, it's like diagonal like this, so a balcony, but you physically have to like lean over to be able to see the person's balcony below. I would be sunbathing sometimes, and he would message saying, do you need a sunbed? He would have been peering over my balcony. He would text me saying, your plants are looking a little bit dry outside, can you give them a water? Why are you invading my personal space? And then he would also on Instagram post a picture of my balcony with the location tag and think that that was okay, because he lived above me, thought it was absolutely fine to come round whenever he wanted. And I was living alone at this point, and it was just so overwhelming for me. When you're in that situation, I know that obviously a landlord can't come without giving 24 hours notice. I know that's how
He's acting like your roommate.
in that situation, you have such a horrible
crazy
landlord who's so weird. You almost don't want to poke the bear. I just didn't know what he was capable of. And then he installed a bath in my bathroom that was like a really deep bath, and he was very proud of this bath, and it had a huge mirror wall, which personally, I don't really want a full mirror wall in the bath, because I don't want to be staring at myself like the whole time I'm in the bath. My landlord asked me 3 times if he could take a bath in my bath. Obviously I said no. He had his own bath. It was so peculiar.
And there you have it, guys.
Peculiar.
Weirdo.
Wanted to rent out another one of his apartments, and he knocked on my door at like 7 o'clock in the morning and was like, I might be renting out my apartment to this lady. Pushed her inside of my apartment and was like, can you just talk to her about the area? I was in my pajamas, like hoovering. My pipe was making a lot of noise, so obviously I had to message him. Pipe's not working, would you be able to send someone around to fix it? And he was like, yeah, no problem, I'll send someone around 6 p.m. Okay, cool. He calls me at 11 a.m. He always used to do this. He used to speak with so much urgency, had to be done right there and then. And he was like, plumber's coming, are you available now? Like, let's just get it out of the way. And I was like, fine, he can come round. So the plumber came round and he just stormed in, expecting me, were you? And I was like, well, no, why are you here? You don't need to be here. That thing when they fill like the sides of the bath, I can't remember, but you know, like the white paste thing that they put in bathrooms, he was like, can you do that to the plumber?
Yeah, silicone.
Of course, I'll back tomorrow and do that. I forgot what it's called, but the landlord was like, are you sure you know how to do it? Can you do it at a really good level? Absolutely sure. And he was looking at me, the plumber, and was like, who the fuck is this man? He came round a few days after to make sure the pipe was fine, and he went into the bathroom, and let me just tell you one thing about the way I live. I am such a tidy person. That apartment, white floors and white walls, I didn't want to live somewhere where it was messy, so I was constantly cleaning that apartment. I was also filming in there so you could see it was a really tidy apartment. He came round, checking the bathroom, whatever, and then he left and he sent me an official email to say, really appalled by how disgusting your bathroom is. And I didn't even read the email fully. I went straight to the bathroom, videoed the whole bathroom, took pictures with timestamps. It was literally seconds after he sent the email, so I couldn't have even tidied up if I wanted to. And I sent the pictures to everyone I knew, and I was like, does this bathroom look dirty to you? Everyone was like, no, not at all. Sent me this email, you know, I'm going to have to raise your rent. Like, my bathroom's always tidy. Just finding an excuse. And he was like, the amount of work I've done on this, I could definitely get higher rent, which is, that's just what he
Try to
wanted to
find
do the whole
any
time.
excuse.
Eventually sent me an eviction notice on Boxing Day. Sent me an eviction notice on Boxing Day. However, I'm being evicted because I didn't want to pay the extra £600 rent a month. And wanted to fight it so much because there've been so many small things
extra
that he'd done. I'm not even explaining all of them, but he was just such a patronising little prick. Yeah, I just had to find somewhere else and leave. And it was a shame because the apartment was actually beautiful, but yeah, when
that's how they lure you in.
Are not weird. Because I can't be asking to take a bath in my bath. Also, one time messaged me on Instagram. He didn't even follow me. I take content for a living. So he was like, I love pictures you take with the apartment. Maybe you could take some of the building outside. Well, I don't really want to take pictures of me outside the building because then everyone will know where I live. Like, really unsafe, especially for a woman who lives by herself. He was like, yeah, well, I wouldn't mind taking pictures of you for free. And that was that, and I left. And although the apartment was really nice, it just wasn't worth having such a creepy landlord, like, definitely at all.
So it's definitely one of the most creepiest landlord stories I've come across. I don't know about you guys. All the things he did, and then asking to take a bath in her bath. It's ridiculous. Turning up unannounced, expecting to be able to come in, show the prospective tenants around. Absolutely insane. I'm surprised she stayed as long as she did. She should have left a lot sooner. So a couple of the tips I would recommend if you find yourself in a situation like this is set boundaries from the outset with your new landlord, especially if your landlord asked to do something that sort of invades your personal space. Firmly say no and set boundaries from the beginning, and definitely know your rights. A landlord cannot sort of enter your property without your permission and to give you at least 24 hours notice. Always check your tenancy agreement and always keep records of unusual interactions just so that you're able to refer back to them should things escalate and you need legal advice. You then have at least a sort of chronological order of interactions you've had with your landlord that you could present. And don't be afraid to escalate things. Talk to your letting agency, your local council if you need to, or even ask for legal advice. You definitely do not have to put with this sort of level of harassment. So have you guys ever had a horror story like this, or know someone who's had a horror story like this? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. And if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe. Support the channel, help us grow. And until the next time, I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching.